Hi friends, it's Nat here from Neurodivergent Nat & Co. Today I wanted to talk about my lived experience of ADHD, inattentive ADHD, as well as being autistic. So I wanted to share with you the differences, but also what it feels like in my brain having both. So firstly, I guess there are some commonalities between the two. So they both have executive function challenges, sensory differences as well can occur in both. Socially, there are differences as well. You're more likely to have co-occurring conditions. So in my case, I also have anxiety disorder or GAD. And also common in both is that you can hyperfocus or become hyperfixated on things. So it's interesting because if you're autistic, you've got around a 50% chance or higher of having co-occurring ADHD, but not the other way around. So with ADHD, there are three different types. There's inattentive, there's combination, or there's the hyperactive. So in my case, I have the inattentive ADHD, which used to be called ADD. So for example, there's some differences. So like not responding to your name can be more of an ADHD trait, although if you have auditory processing difficulties, that can also relate to that. However, like not maintaining eye contact, that's more of an autistic trait. If you're, for example, working or studying and something captures your attention, that's more likely to be inattentive ADHD. Whereas if you're distracted more because of a sensory sensitivity, like bright lights or loud noise, that's more of an autistic trait. So another example is if you crave like routine and sameness, you like schedules, that's an autistic trait. But if you find tasks that are routine boring, that's more of an ADHD trait. The interesting thing with the ADHD brain is that it likes novelty. So the way I describe it to my clients is like I am constantly in conflict with my brain. So my autistic brain might like for, routine and sameness because that reduces my anxiety. But then my ADHD brain might say, that's boring, I don't really want to do that. And then I might find it hard to actually start a task. So with inattentive ADHD, there are 5 things that I have found which are common in a lot of people that have ADHD. So for example, I can have trouble finishing tasks. So if that's the case, I'm more likely to make it interesting or challenging because that's what the ADHD brain likes. It likes novelty, it likes things that are challenging, interesting. Another trait with inattentive ADHD is I can easily get distracted. So my mind can wander even if I'm in conversation with someone and it's a really interesting conversation. All of a sudden I can just draw a blank and I'll be like, I've forgotten what I was just about to say. And my mind can wander like if I'm trying to hyperfocus on something, which the autistic brain likes, and then the ADHD brain comes in and just starts to wander. Another thing with inattentive ADHD is that I can become quite often forgetful. And forgetfulness is very common, it's very annoying, it's very frustrating, and that is more likely to do with our working memory part of the brain. So that's the kind of ability to hold information. So some people with inattentive ADHD are really good at remembering like long-term facts and things like that, which can also be an autistic trait. But then with ADHD, quite often with working memory, I forget little things like that just happened the day before, or where I've put things, and that's a huge frustration for me. coming in, if I don't have a set area where my keys go, or my sunglasses, my purse, my handbag, and I get distracted, I can just put them down somewhere and then I won't remember where they are. So another trait with inattentive ADHD is like difficulty paying attention, and that's obviously like the inattentive part. So it depends though, so you have to think about the context. If it's something that I find interesting, obviously I'm not going to have difficulty paying attention, but if I'm sitting in a lecture and it's not very interesting, that can be really challenging for me. And I've just done 11 years of study. I've done 10 years to finish a psychology degree and 1 year to do a grad certificate in autism studies, and they were very challenging years, especially because it's only been the last couple of years that I knew about having inattentive ADHD. And the other trait with inattentive ADHD is being disorganised, and that can just be ADHD in general. And when I say disorganised, I mean like my autistic brain. I love to be organised, and I've always thought I've been really good at being organised, and yet when I look around, even as an adult, I've got like a room that I just really want to get organised. Sometimes it's overwhelming to even start the task, which can also be related to task inertia, but then it can also be my ADHD brain going, whoa, like I don't know where to start. My autistic brain is like, I want to start it, I want to get it organised, I like having things organised, labelled, in compartments, but my ADHD brain just finds it boring, or I don't know where to start. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an insight of what it's like to be autistic and have ADHD. There are definitely a lot of challenges and a lot of strategies and things that I have to incorporate, which I will talk about in another video real soon. So hopefully you found it interesting. If you do have ADHD as well as being autistic, please comment below. I'd love to hear any strategies that you've used, or if you found this video interesting, maybe you know someone that may have inattentive ADHD that's autistic. Like I said at the beginning, it is very the most high commonly co-occurring conditions of autism, especially if you're a female as well. So yeah, thanks guys, please subscribe. I've got a lot of more interesting videos coming up, not just about autism, ADHD, Tourette's as well, anxiety, and I also have hypermobile EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Bye!